What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and obviously it's been quite a while, or at least it feels like it has been. I mean, I haven't been able to do anything on my channel recently, so I do apologize for that. And if anybody is tuning in to be like, well, where are your reviews for this show and this show and this show, I do apologize. It's just been very, very hectic this week. I thought, with the work that I do, it is kind of random. Getting booked as an extra on TV or a movie can at times be a very boring life, or it can be a very busy life. Well, for me, recently it's been busy, so I am glad for that. But at the same time, I haven't had time to sit down and just watch a show. So I do apologize for that. And as soon as I have some time, if I have a day off, I'll sit down and I'll watch, and I'll try to get as caught up as possible. Hopefully at some point, obviously a lot of the shows have ended recently, so I should have some time to get caught up at a good time. But anyway, with that said and done, on to the game, because yes, first home win that I got to see, because I missed the Chicago game. So great to see it live, great to be there and experience the rush of winning with all the fans. And honestly, I mean, it's a great result, not just for, obviously for the league, it's a good result because now we have another win that moves us up a little bit in the standings. But to be honest, it's great to get us ahead of momentum. Just get a win in, because next week we've got New York, where we went to their place and kind of got run all over the field. So it's good that we got a good result in, a good performance in before we play New York next week. Now we're welcoming them to our stadium, which is not on a baseball field, because that's ridiculous. So it'll be really nice to go into that game, having just come off of this game. But I'm going to go through everything pretty quickly because I'm tired, and two, I don't really have much of a voice right now because, hey, cheering at goals and booing at referees can take a lot out of you. So first of all, let's talk about the referees. Once again, showing that the MLS really needs to look at improving the refereeing situation. Now, to be fair, I can't see a whole lot of it from the stands, and on top of that, with everybody else around us booing, it's kind of hard not to get caught up and say, yeah, obviously that's a bad call. But at the same time, we are sitting fairly close. I mean, every game we're season ticket holders. Every game we're a few rows behind the goal where we were shooting on the first half. So the opposite side from the major fan section. Is it our fan club maybe? I don't know exactly who they are, but same people every week, starting the chants and all that. We're across from them, fairly close to the field, which means we can see a lot of the action. We're fairly close on it, and some of them very, very obviously fouls or very obviously not fouls, and it's like the ref is just, I don't know, he misses half of them. And today, it was probably a bit of both. There were probably some calls he missed. The penalty we got for Villalba may have gone over a little bit easy. I'll have to watch it again tomorrow whenever I get a chance to watch it on TV. But, may have gone over easy there. But then, it's their goal. He's offsides. And on top of that, Laurentowicz is sliding in. His hands are not in an unnatural position. He didn't move his hand into it. It's just he slid in. Ball gets passed into his arm, and all of a sudden now that's a penalty after the guy should have been offsides, and then you call that. It's just like, come on. And then on top of that, the whole deal that led to Martino getting kicked out of the stadium. First of all, call the foul. I don't know what the name of the defender was, but whoever it was that was defending for Houston lines up Hector as he's trying to make a run at the ball. He turns and looks at him, drops his shoulder, and just takes him out. And so it's like, call the foul, but he doesn't call anything. Keeper plays it out because Hector's still on the ground, and it goes towards Tata, and he kicks it. And then you're going to send him out because he kicked the ball? Maybe he did it out of frustration. I didn't see it clearly, but to me it looked like he just sort of kicked it. It didn't look like he was throwing stuff around and kicking it out of frustration. It seemed like he just sort of kicked it because it came toward him. And all of a sudden they're sending him out after you missed a call, and you're going to, come on. It's stupid is what it is. It's the referees making poor decisions, and it's like they want to assert their authority on the game and be like, no, I'm in charge here. Get out. And come on, dude. Come on. It's got to get better than this. It's got to get better because, frankly, if you want to attract some of the top-level players, if you want to grow this league into something more than just the retirement home for all-stars, you need to make sure that your referees are good too, because if they are this bad to where they're missing call after call, they're being inconsistent with their calls, the top players aren't going to want to come here. Because they'll be like, why do I want to go there if the referees are going to call shit games every single game? It's going to be terrible. I can't go into a challenge without worrying about possibly getting booked or thrown out because the referees may make a bad call today, and it's what we've come to expect. So that's just something they need to look at improving if they want to grow our league and make it a more popular league here in America. But chances are probably not. I think we're probably content with just keeping it. Oh, we're the MLS. We're Americans. We don't care that much about soccer. But anyway, on to the team performance. Overall, very good team performance. I can only think of a couple players that didn't really show out today. Everybody pretty much had a good game, so really good to see. But overall, I mean, just the intensity of the crowd, the passion that's there from the players, from us, the fans, all of it is just so. It's kind of overwhelming to be a part of. Just to be a part of this group of fans, this new team coming into the league. Just so much energy and momentum and excitement. Even if we have been having a little poor run of form, we're still excited. We're still ready. We're still selling out the stadium, even if it's we've lost two, we tied one. It doesn't matter. We're still selling out. We're still ready for each and every game. We're ready to take it to them and be behind the team as they go. So always a lot of fun to be a part of. Individual performances, though, let's start with Can. Today had a good game. I've talked about him poorly in the past. I talked about how some of his games haven't been the best. Today he did have a good game. Penalty, guessed the wrong way, so that's I don't know. As a goalkeeper coach, I always tell my keepers don't guess. So it's kind of something where I realize that at professional level, you kind of have to make an educated guess, because if not, they put it in the corner. You're not reaching it if you don't guess. So I do understand that, but at the same time, it always frustrates me whenever a player steps up and you see the keeper dive the completely wrong way, because I'm like, why'd you guess? But aside from that, though, the rest of the game, he was very solid, very good saves. A couple times, he didn't have a whole lot to do, but there were a couple times where it felt like Houston had a good chance, and he smothered it, and he made sure to keep it under wraps to where they didn't really have much momentum in the game. And on top of that, they used him a lot whenever it came to possessing the ball. The defense moving it around, drops it back to him. He's moving it out wide very well. So all in all, it was a better game for him, and I'm glad because, like I said before, I want it to be where Guzan comes in and he's not just instantly going to take the spot. But over the past few games, it seems like that's what's going to happen just because Guzan is a quality goalkeeper and he knows what he's doing. He played at the top level, and Can had made a lot of mistakes. But today, he's starting to step up. He's starting to show that he also has some quality to him. So I hope he can continue that run next week as well. Defense-wise, Garza's back in over Bloom, which, kind of obvious because Garza is one of our better players. But today, not really the same influence I've come to expect out of him. Whenever he's out there, I always expect, I guess, maybe my expectations are a little high for him. But honestly, he set the bar high. With some of his performances early in the season, I expect him to do well defensively. I expect him to get up in the attack and move the ball around well. Today, defensively he still did well, but going up in the attack, I don't know, his movement wasn't quite the same. It felt like he was making runs that his teammates weren't picking up on. And on top of that, there were times when he made a run when we hadn't actually gotten out of the back yet. And so there was that possibility where, if we lose the ball, he's all the way past the back defensive line because he was looking for that and it wasn't there. So, that part of it is kind of scary when you think about, next week we've got New York, who can definitely put a lot more pressure on us in the back and cause a lot more problems than Houston did for us. But that being said, Parkhurst and Perez did have a good game, and that is having a little bit to do with the fact that Houston didn't put that great pressure. They did press us at times, but for the most part, it wasn't good pressure. They were just running around chasing the ball while we were just moving around them. Next week is not going to be that easy, and I hope we're prepared for that. But for what it's worth, today defensively they did step up. They did do their jobs well, and they put a lot of pressure whenever they came on our half of the field, because that's been a little bit of a problem. Whenever they come down, at times it feels like it's one player stepping while the other one's kind of like somewhere just sort of hanging out. Today it felt like they were more in sync. They were moving well together, playing off of each other very well. So that's always good to see. And on top of that, some of the balls they were sending forward were good. A couple of them a little off, but it wasn't too bad to where it's like, come on, work on your passing, work on your distribution. No, it was fine on both sides of it, defensively and attacking wise. They did well. So hopefully they can keep that chemistry going next week whenever we've got a lot more difficult competition going forward with David Villa and whoever else New York has. I'll remember their names later. He's just the one that stands out to me because he scores a lot of goals. And then Mears on the right side, a bit more effective today than he has been in the past few games. Just on both sides of the ball, I think it felt a lot more natural for him today. Just getting up the field, helping out with the attack, sending crosses in, and then getting back and sort of shutting off any sort of attack from the other side of the field. So he was definitely on his game today and stepped it up where the past couple games he's been a little bit off. So glad to see that. I hope he can continue that going into next week as well. Carmona and Laurentowicz in the middle have really formed a very solid partnership. Carmona is sort of that workhorse in the middle where he's just moving side to side, putting in challenges or pushing people to the side. Stayed on his feet a lot more today than he has in the past few games. I did complain last week how just constantly sliding, giving away fouls, sliding and getting beat. Today he did slide in a few times, but a lot fewer than last week. So good to see that he was doing a lot more standing up and forcing them one way rather than just, I'm going to slide in and win the ball. But one of the things that I love about that is that while he's doing that work, Laurentowicz is sort of dropping back and almost becoming a third defender. Now, that does beg the question, why not just go ahead and play with 3 defenders and then 2 wingbacks? It is a good question. My dad brought it up. It's like, why not just switch it to the back 3? I do agree. It does kind of make not that much sense when you really think about the fact that we pretty much do play with a back 3 with 2 wingbacks. But at the same time, it kind of works whenever we've got possession. Whenever we are comfortable in possession, whenever we're moving it around, it looks good. It looks great even. But whenever we're getting high pressed and whenever we're losing the ball and we're getting it picked off, it does leave us open to a quick counterattack because there's a lot of space in between. Laurentowicz in the middle, and then Perez and Parkhurst pretty much pushed out wide. So if we lose it there, it's like they're so far apart that it's easy to counterattack on us, and it's easy to find space inside there. So I just think, while I don't mind having the possession, I don't mind sort of that back 3 that sort of provides a bit of protection for us. I think they need to focus on, okay, make sure you're not getting pushed too far out or the wingbacks getting pushed too far high, because if you do that and then we lose the ball, we're in trouble. So maybe just sort of have a countermeasure in place to where if we do lose it because of a bad pass or something like that, just be ready to drop back in to where, okay, now we've shut that down. A mistake was made, but now it's done. We've reorganized, and now we're defending again. But it is kind of a hypothetical, like, well, what if you lose the ball? But it is something where you can see the open spaces if we were to lose it. So I guess just a little bit more organization and communication there. To the 3 attacking mids, Gressel I'll talk about first because another game where he scored, but also another game where we've got to have better options. We've got to have better options than him. I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not bashing him or anything, but way too many times where he loses the ball off a pass and then he's not working to really win it back. And you can, even watching like live, you can sort of see where people running back, tracking back, trying to go win the ball back. Gressel's not near it. He's just sort of walking. He's just jogging around. He's not really moving unless the ball is near him. And, whenever's near him, he looks okay. He's looking to win the ball back. One-on-one, if a player has the ball and Gressel's there challenging him, he does pretty well there. But then they pass it away and he's off. And he's done. If the ball comes back his way, he probably won't be getting to it because he's not ready for it. And like I said, his passing just way too sporadic. A couple times, good passes, most of the time, to the other team. So, I don't know. He's such an iffy player for me that I don't know if I trust him to be out there the whole time. I'd much rather see McCann or Kratz get a chance in, just because I think that they can provide a little bit more, not only on the ball, but off the ball as well. I mean, watching Kratz work whenever he comes on, I really do think that he provides more than Gressel does on both sides of it, just because he's solid when it comes to his passing and he works hard even when the ball's not near him. He's working to get back into position. So he did come on as a sub for Gressel later in the game, but I just think we might want to start looking at possibly he starts over Gressel. But none of that will matter if Martinez comes back next week. He's got to be close, but if he does come back, we'll probably go back to kind of what we started with, except instead of Gressel and Carmona in, it will probably be Laurentowicz and Carmona in, because Laurentowicz has really stepped it up recently. As far as Assad and Almiron are concerned, though, both quality, but Almiron for me definitely takes over in the midfield. It won the man of the match, and I completely agree. I mean, got a hat trick, works so hard on and off the ball, just making great runs, works hard to put himself in a good position. The first goal was absolutely brilliant. Like, just, he reads it so well. He sees that touch. I think Assad, it was either Assad or Villalba, had a little bit of a touch that got away from him, and he saw that opening where the defense had sort of crowded into the middle, and so he just charges in, takes over, and all of a sudden now he's got space out over here, and just drills it home. Brilliant shot, right in front of us too, so we're just like, yeah! And then the second one was just, I mean, a little bit of a scramble in there. Assad gets it to him. He sort of lifts it up over a defender, finds a little bit of space, and then just buries it upper 90. I'm like... And then, of course, penalty to finish off with the hat trick. I mean, couldn't ask for a better night for him. And it wasn't just those 3 goals, though. It was all over the pitch. You can just see that he's involved. He wants to be involved. He wants to be a part of it. And on top of that, when you've got Assad and Villalba out there, it works so well because he's got players that know what he's looking for. And I think I may have talked about this. I can't remember. I think it was the New York game where there were times where it felt like he was sort of dribbling a little bit too much. To be fair to him, the reason that it felt that way, I think, in the New York game was because Assad wasn't out there. Villalba was, but it was almost like they were on opposite sides of the field. And I think whenever that happens, whenever you take Assad, and even when you take Garza out of the picture at times, I think he's looking for those players, and Villalba up top as well, to sort of make runs for him. And so whenever you don't have that, he has to dribble by himself. And he's a fine dribbler, but he doesn't really have the upper body strength to hold off 2 or 3 challenges. Maybe 1. But he needs players to play off of, and that's when he looks his best. And he looks like a top-class player. And tonight, he was there. He was involved. He was showing up. He was doing everything he could and got himself a hat trick for it. So really, really glad that he got the hat trick. I'm proud of his performance tonight, and I hope he continues to perform on that kind of quality level because, man, when he's on form, you can't stop him. And there's that one moment in the first half. I think it was about 15, 20 minutes in. There was a moment where he's just driving down the line and about to take it inside, and one of the Houston defenders had to grab him and pull him down. That's the only way you can stop him when he gets up to that type of speed. Because he beats people with speed so easily, and you have to stop him or else he's getting inside, and he's going to cause a lot of trouble. So, but not to overlook Assad, though, who also put in a very good performance tonight. I think he did kind of assist the second goal. It was a little bit of Almiron's doing as well, but I mean, he always works hard, and I love watching Assad work. I love watching him just track back, work hard to get back. And when I watch at the beginning of the season, especially whenever it was him and then Villalba on the other side, it was like they sort of were opposites. Hector tended to stay up top a little bit more, while Yamil was dropping in and he's trying to help out. He's trying to drop in and help Garza defensively. So he loves to get up, but you see that effort to get back as well, and I respect that type of effort because not a lot of attacking midfielders like to track back and help defend. They would rather just stay up and wait for the ball to come to them. But Yamil's not one of those players. He loves to sort of get in there and get stuck in, try to win the ball back. I actually Yeah, the second goal started with him winning the ball off of one of the Houston players about midfield, and that led to the attack that eventually led to the second goal. So his performance, while maybe getting overshadowed by Miguel's performance, definitely is still really, really useful to the team and very, very strong performance. So always good to see. But then Hector up top, kind of an iffy performance. There were times when he was very dangerous to the back line. They had to make some good challenges. He did draw the penalty late on. So there were times when he was involved and you could see he was causing trouble, but then there were times where he kind of faded out of the game. And I think that's where, between him and Joseph, I think Joseph tends to be a bit more involved in that he's always looking for some sort of outlet, whether it's making a run in behind or whether it's challenging a defender and forcing them to make a bad header. He's always looking for it. He's always ready for it, and if you turn off for a second, he's there. Whereas Hector tends to turn off throughout most of the game. If there's a moment where we're sort of on our half of the field and we've been over there playing around in our defense for a little bit, you tend to see him sort of walk in and just sort of like, okay, well, we have possession, but we're not really up here. So I would like to see him create a few more chances for himself rather than waiting for somebody to create the chance for him. Somebody to play a great pass for him to run onto. But tonight kind of showed that if you're not giving him the service that he needs, he's kind of taken out of the game. He's not one that's going to create a chance on his own. But that being said, he still did work hard for most of the game tonight. So I do appreciate the hard work that he does up there. But I think he's not doing himself any sort of favors when it comes to starting up top. I believe once Joseph comes back, he's going to end up back out at right wing. As for the subs that came on, first one, like I said, Kratz came on for Gressel. Didn't really notice him, but he's still a hard worker. He's a player that even if you don't really notice him, he's still doing his job silently. So I'm sure when I go watch the game tomorrow on TV, I'm sure I'm going to be like, oh yeah, there he is. He's working hard. He's winning the ball back. Second one to come on was Jones. Came on for Hector. I just give him some time, I guess. It's kind of been a general sub since Joseph's gone out that he'll come on late on or he'll start the game. So I think it's just kind of a toss up as to who starts, whether it's Kenwin or Hector. And then finally, the big one of the night. I think everybody at that point was on their feet and applauding because Almiron, first of all, came off, so applauding his hat-trick. But then Andrew Carlton came on for his first MLS appearance. Only 16, one of the local area players. And I was actually there tonight with my family, but also one of the kids that is friends with my stepbrother. I've known him for a few years now, but he played against Andrew Carlton when they were playing club. So he's a player that has been talked about for a little while now because he is young, but he looks really good. And so the fact that we were up, I think at that point we were up 4-1, so it was a chance for him to get in and get a little bit of experience. And on top of that, he's going up against a Marcus Beasley, which is not it's obviously Beasley is up there in age, but he's still got some speed and he's got the experience, so it's not a walk in the park. And watching Andrew go up against him and just sort of like really put him under challenge and not give up, it gets me excited. Because it's one of those things where it kind of feels sort of weird going from the Premier League to the MLS in that you can very clearly see the Premier League has been there for a long time and it's very well set up. And, well, I say that. It's not been here forever. But, the way it's set up, the youth team system, all that, you can see that the youth team is a very big part over there. You come through the youth program, you come through at a very young age, and at some point, you're at the U18s, and then you're at the U23s, the reserve team. And so you're trying to make an impression to get into the first team. Well, here, it's not like, they don't really have a youth league for the teams as far as I'm concerned. There's not really a recognized team that I'm just like, oh yeah, I can follow the youth team and just be like watching all of their games and stuff. So maybe that's something that they're trying to set up, or maybe they already have it set up and just don't do a very good job of showing it. But he is a player that's been a part of the youth team and is kind of involved in the first team as well. And looks like he has a lot of quality. I mean, just his speed isn't quite up to Miguel's speed, but he's got a lot of talent that I think is buried under the youth in him. So I think if he can overcome that and start to get experience in the MLS and start to get some playing time, I think he could really become a huge star for Atlanta United. So it'll be really good to see where he's going to go from here. Hopefully we can get a few more games where we go up quite a bit and he can get some more time in there because he has the potential to become a really good star here. Being only 16 as well makes me feel like I'm doing nothing with my life. But anyway, but that's about it for this game. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I'm pretty tired, so now I'm just kind of rambling on. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the game. Who's your man of the match? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews. I'll see you at the next game. Peace out.